all urban legends born within the Edo period actually took place in Edo. In fact, one took place all the way across the country in Miyoshi, modern-day Hiroshima, that became so famous that news of it made its way all the way back to Edo, where it became a beloved strange story to tell in the capital. And what was that strange story? It was the tale of the month-long yokai disturbance that took place at a certain samurai family's house. A disturbance that certainly wouldn't be forgotten anytime soon. This tale is an interesting one, because the family involved in it still has descendants living in the area today, several hundreds of years later. That family is said to possess a copy of the original scroll written about the disturbance, while the Miyoshi Board of Education possesses another. The location of the original is, at present, unknown. So, what happened? What was this month-long disturbance that reached ears all the way across the country and captivated the capital's imagination? It's a story of the Ino family, and how one 16-year-old boy withstood a yokai onslaught. It all started on July 1st, 1749. Ino Heitaro, the 16-year-old son of the Ino samurai family, was attacked by a giant hand reaching into the family home from outside the house's gates. At the same time, a doji appeared in his neighbor's house, causing Heitaro's neighbor and friend to freeze in his bed, unable to move. Both teens were able to make it through the night, but it was just the beginning of Heitaro's nightmare. On the second night, the lamp in Heitaro's room suddenly roared to life, scorching his roof with the flames. Heitaro remained unperturbed by this and went to climb into bed, yet suddenly his room filled with water. The water flooded his bed and much of the room, but then disappeared just as quickly as it arrived. Everything returned to normal, as though the water had never been there to begin with, and the next morning, the scorch marks on his roof had disappeared as well. Finding it strange but remaining unalarmed, the following night, the severed head of a young woman suddenly appeared out of a hole in the ground in his room. This severed head danced around in the air, her hair pointing this way and that, eventually approaching Heitaro and licking his face. These strange phenomena continued night after night, split largely into two categories. There were the monsters, the yokai, like the large arm that reached into his room to grab him, the young woman's severed head, a large group of komuso monks blowing flutes with baskets over their heads, and toads shaped like wicker baskets. There was even a creature that emerged from the ashes of his fireplace, spitting forth worms. Then there were the supernatural phenomena, such as the sudden flooding in his room, noises coming from the roof, strips from his tatami mats attacking him, salt bales that floated through the air dropping salt all over his room, sudden lights and strange winds at all times of the day. And on occasion, Heitaro even found his room in complete darkness, despite it being midday outside. These strange experiences and yokai attacks continued for 30 days straight, night after night, until finally, on July 30th, a samurai in formal attire appeared before Heitaro. He gave his name as Yamamoto Gorozaemon, and claimed to be the leader of the yokai that had spent the last month attacking him. He praised Heitaro for withstanding their assault and never once fleeing. Then, he gathered all of the yokai in Heitaro's yard, loaded them into baskets, and then disappeared. And just like that, it marked the end of the strange yokai disturbance. Heitaro reportedly spoke of these strange happenings to a friend, but this friend at first doubted him. It sounded too strange. Even during the Edo period, the tales of yokai that people enjoyed mostly took place hundreds of years earlier, not right then and there in their own backyard. Yet Heitaro's story never changed, nor faltered, and even the small details never contradicted each other, no matter how often he told the story. Heitaro's friend came to believe he really was telling the truth and put his words down on a scroll. He showed this to Heitaro himself, who confirmed the details to be true, and from there, the story spread far and wide. The story was somewhat unique at the time, a personal experience told by the man himself that had just taken place, not the tale of a legendary figure from centuries past. Yet as with many tales, the more it was told over the years, the more the details changed, and at some point, the story morphed into something similar, yet different. As I mentioned earlier, copies of the original scroll still exist in Miyoshi today, as do Heitaro's descendants, but the original has been lost to time. The story was so popular that it was adapted into various media over the years, such as comics, books, and even anime. Heitaro's courage in the face of terrifying adversity for 30 straight days has long struck a chord with many, making the tale of this month-long struggle with the yokai an urban legend that is still around several hundred years after his death. And if you head to the Miyoshi Mononoke Museum today, you can still read all about him and view the various scrolls and pictures that have been painted of him over the years. But that's all for this week. What did you guys think? If there are any other legends or types of legends you'd like me to look at from the Edo period, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.